Hello, hello, hello. This is Lyndon Thorpe here of Our Way, Our Wealth. I'm so sorry to be a little bit late starting tonight. I've had big problems with the internet. As you probably know, I'm in Japan, and sometimes this happens and I can't connect with anything in the West. So it's very strange. Anyway, never mind. I'm here now, and I'll get started straight away. This week is quite interesting. We've got events, an event on Wednesday, and it's all about your value. So I'd like to spend a little bit of time on that tonight. As I mentioned yesterday, I'm also really hot and heavy into the production of a ceremonial version of my book, Easy, Happy, Sexy, on the 12th day, which is about the time I spent living with Aboriginals in the South Australian desert, returning to their traditional lives, and how much this changed my life. I went back home after my long round-the-world trip, which lasted 2 years actually, with a pack on my back, completely changed person. And since that time, my whole future has unveiled itself to me, opened to me like a book. And I've never been more clear than what I'm doing now is right. So let me talk a little bit about now the event series. This is the third cycle now of the Millionaire Mindset Breakthrough, and we're on event 7 this week, which is all about your value. Now, values really interest me. Yes. It's very interesting. We establish them when we're teenagers quite often, but then we get dragged into adulthood, heavily conditioned by society, by family, by community, by external expectations, and so on. And we never really get down to adjusting them unless we have some kind of life-changing experience. So that has happened to me many times. So my life has really taken many unexpected turns, which I'm extremely grateful for. And, you know, I grow each time as I adapt to the new flow. You've probably heard me in the past telling you that I am a river. Yeah, that's how I get through my life. Not that it needs getting through, that's how I flow through my life. I adore my life, and it's always so fascinating, and I learn so much. So, welcome. If you're with me on LinkedIn, welcome. If you're with me on YouTube, another welcome. I'm streaming to both social media platforms tonight from StreamYard, and I'm delighted if you're tuning in to join me. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the coming event on Wednesday, and I hope you'll join me for that too. I always start at the same time. It's 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. British summertime on Wednesday, every week for 13 weeks. And then I have a few weeks off, adjust things, and then come back again. So I'll be back with my fourth cycle sometime in September, early September. And each time it's different because I'm growing, and my clientele and my followers are growing with me. And so every time there are adjustments and there are new themes and so on. So it's really an organic process. So let me talk a little bit now about my upcoming event. And I've written an article in LinkedIn, on LinkedIn, and I'd just like to talk to you a little bit about it to give you an idea what it's all about. And I must say, over the past two events, I've had lots of people join me for this event and tell me that they find it so difficult to ask for their worth, either as a coach or as a startup or something like that. And yes, I know many people have a really dubious relationship with money. It's a strange thing, but it's part of the conditioning we go through as children. I remember so well my parents being so strict about money, and they were not rich at all. They were quite poor, and I was born in post-war England, right up in the north of England in Manchester, which was bombed more heavily than anywhere else in Europe by the Nazis, because it was the ammunition centre for the British forces. So I grew up really with ration books, with very strange things to eat, with no milk, no meat, and so on. But I turned out okay. I'm a buxom lass, and I didn't waste any time catching up. But yes, my parents were very strict with me about money, but not very strict with themselves. So they entered into lots of hire purchase agreements, as we called them then. You know, they wanted to live now and here, and that's what I love them for. They were both very strongly now and here people, and lived life really to the full, but didn't have any money. So to compensate for that, they took out hire purchase agreements and just, paid on a weekly basis. And I remember the people who came to collect the money became really good friends, and they would come and stay for dinner and lots of coffee and cake and things like that. And my mum made real good friends with these collectors, money collectors. So that's the kind of background I grew up with. But their abandon about money really made me tighten my belt, and I became really a bit of a poverty person, really. And I have lived in poverty. I have experienced that. I've kind of travelled a lot, and I've got stuck quite often in foreign countries and ended up all sorts of things. Anyway, that's another story, which I'll tell you more of in the future. But yes, many of us do have a bad relationship with money, scarcity, imposter syndrome. We don't think we should be earning lots of money. Guilt or shame about wealth. And, there are lots of problems around the topic of money. But when we look at what it really is, it's fronted by things like shiny coins and crisp banknotes and precious gems and, real estate on a palatial level and things like that. But actually, those are symbols. And when we look behind the symbols, we find energy. Money is energy. And it's human beings that have given the symbols value almost in a random way. Almost random, yeah. And there is fashion, and so things go out of fashion, come back into fashion, and we start to see famous paintings selling for billions of dollars and jewels rocketing through the sky at the price and so on. So, yeah, we set the values. We set the values. Now, one of the problems is that most people who have to work to earn their living settle for an hourly rate. And I did it. And I really regret I did it now that I'm not prepared to do it anymore. I've escaped the 9 to 5 grind. That's the name of my campaign. And I am determined to get my value from my internet efforts. So I'm a netpreneur, and I am building a very wonderful business, or several wonderful businesses, and I'm on the millionaire track. I really pushed the boat out, and I'm going to be a millionaire. So that's what I'm working towards, and that's what I help other people to do. I mentor others to change their entire approach to money and value and start out with a completely different mindset. And I also work from the inside out. I'm an embodiment mentor, and I use all sorts of meditation, mindfulness techniques, along with scientific techniques to get people to transform inside, because that's where we have to start. You'll never be truly successful outside. You might be successful, but you might never recognize it, i.e., imposter syndrome, because you were not successful inside. So, my mission is to really get people successful to themselves in their own eyes before they start looking for success outside. So, yes, the title of my article, which will appear on Tuesday on LinkedIn on my profile, is The Price of Your Presence Beyond the Numbers. In a nutshell, Event 7 is not really just about numbers, it's about alignment. Alignment is the big word at the moment. And at this event, you'll learn to price your offerings based on presence, not performance. So through embodied valuation, and that's with my Lodestone product, Lodestone 1, which is an oral transmission to transform and calibrate your inner compasses, combined with Zinzino, which is my latest partnership. They are a health support company, and they work at the cellular level with blood tests and amazing supplements. So I'm covering both angles, the left brain and the right brain aspect of transformation. And so in Event 7, we're going to dissolve or demystify all the visual illusions and intellectual traps that keep people undercharging. Yeah, people are scared to put their prices up. I've had many people say, "Oh no, I can't possibly charge her that much. She's got no money." Well, frankly, that's not your concern as a purveyor and conveyor of your precious services and products. That's their concern. If they want badly enough to take you up on your offer, they will find the money. And lots of people lie about money too. They often say, "Oh, I can't afford that," when they can truly afford it. So, actually, your true worth lives in the body, not in spreadsheets and calculator totals. So, yeah, please join us for a transformational session, and you'll be able to take home with you the Pricing Confidence Worksheet, which is a downloadable I've created to really help you reassess what you charge and really start to truly value your talents and your perspective and your razzmatazz and whatever you're offering, which is truly unique. I'm sure you've done the marketing, and I'm sure if you're really sincere and you know yourself, you'll be offering something truly, truly unique to your audience. And actually, we were never meant to be bought by the hour. Now I'm out of all that. I really feel it's a little bit vulgar, crude to have sold my soul, in my case, for an hourly rate. You see, I was an educator, and educators never get paid very much, and they work 5 times harder than anybody else, I would say, because they're conscientious and they really care about the advancement of their pupils and so on, people in their charge. So, yeah, I feel it's all rather shabby. And I'm sorry, I didn't wake up much, much earlier to the truth. Yeah. Because your worth is not measurable by time. All productivity apps or the hourly rate someone else has decided you should accept. It's much deeper than that. It's in your biology. It's in your breath. And it's in your becoming. And until you root your valuation in the truth of your body's wisdom, because the body never lies, you'll always second guess your pricing and shrink in the presence of your own greatness. So this is why pricing is never just a numbers game. It's an embodiment practice, and that's what I specialize in. Once you truly value your body, your miraculous body, which is 100% evolved and is remarkable in so many ways, join my Lodestone 1 to learn about that. And if you want a quick taste of that, join me for Mindful Moments on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on LinkedIn at 12:30 BST, and you'll get a taste of embodiment. So that's what I mentor, and that's what I lead you to in all my practices and products and so on. And the truth is, when you feel disconnected from your value, your true value, your mind jumps in zealously with a story. I'm not qualified enough. I should charge less to be accessible. Maybe I'm not worth that much. But the problem is, those words drop into the bloodstream, the spine, and the heart. And so a different truth emerges. Remember, everything you think, everything you say and everything you do are coming from your body and your spirit and your mind. But your body is the truth. It never lies. And this is my philosophy. The body never lies. The mind always lies, often lies. It's very difficult to be honest with ourselves. Maybe we can be honest with other people, but actually being truly honest with ourselves is really hard because we've got huge egos. Yeah, which comes from our struggle with social conditioning and being, relegated to the ranks and living up to expectations of people outside and goals that we set outside and so on. But your body, right inside the temple of your body, this is where the truth really lives about you. And so I help people to get back in touch with their bodies through Lodestone One. It's a downloadable product. You can really glimpse your true nature, and you can, from that point, start your endeavors, maybe they're business endeavors, whatever you're planning to do in your life, from a point of truth, from the point of being true to yourself, which matters more than any other truth. Yeah. So, when you feel disconnected from your value, yes, beware. The mind will take over and it will weave a complete fantasy around your existence, which is what it does. The mind is delusional. The only way we can make touch with reality is in the now and here. And that comes when the breath is truly conscious and your spine is truly lengthened and you are anchored into reality, the now and here. Everything else is a dream. The past is a dream, the future is a dream. And the problem is that many people just live those dreams. They think those are reality. No, they are not. So my lodestone, and in general, all my products and services revolve around this idea that only the body knows the truth. So through my lodestone, we will teach you to sense your value from within, your presence, your services, your gifts. They radiate from the core of your alignment, not from an external market rate. Yeah. And that's my Lodestone One. I created it on the 1st of June. It's been received very well. It's starting to gain motion on the market. And I've also very recently partnered with Zinzina, which is a science-backed support for inner balance, which entirely complements my lodestone. So this is what I mean when I say I'm combining science with spirituality. Yeah. So if you use these two together, and that's what I've combined them to do, then this will optimize your biochemistry, which will back up your bioenergetics. And that will particularly affect the way you price yourself, and it will give you great strength when you come to that decision to price yourself. So in event 7 of the Escape the 9 to 5 Grind series, cycle 3, I'm going to do a whiteboard session with you that will walk you step by step through pricing your services with integrity and clarity. You can get the confidence pricing worksheet, free, downloadable, and it's not just a fill in the blank form, but it's a real deep dive into your inner metrics. And through this event, you'll be able to start to learn to set prices that reflect your transformation power, not your time. It's no longer a question of time. The whole business of time is a fantasy. Time is a concept, it doesn't exist. You only need to live with people who do not recognize it to understand that. And I've done that many times in my life. People who rise with the sun and set with the sun, people who live by nature, they have no idea of time as we so-called civilized people do. Those of us who live in urban developments beneath roofs and under glass. And in my recent republication of my book, Easy, Happy, Sexy, I call it the poison of roofs and glass. So, yeah, really, it doesn't exist. It's a concept. We've made it up to try to increase our value, to give us status, to give us credence, all sorts of reasons for the institution of the concept of time. But yeah, it doesn't exist. It really does not exist. So we have to go below that concept and find out what reality is. And all of this is much more than money. It's about much more than money. For example, it's about the frequency you emit when you say your price. Oh, how much is it going to be then? Oh, around $20 an hour. You know, your whole being spells out how guilty you feel about charging such a low price. So it's about your frequency. Remember, we are spiritual beings. We are constantly transmitting frequencies, especially from the heart. The heart and the breath, the lungs, they work together as one very large, important compass in your body. And if you are not honest with yourself, then people know. They know when you say, oh, it's only $20 an hour, that you really want to charge $200 an hour. Yeah, the body doesn't lie. And we have to learn that the hard way, some of us. So yes, this is all about the frequency you emit when you give your offer. It's about whether your nervous system whispers yes or trembles in fear that you're going to get rejected. Yes, we're all scared of being rejected. And the buyer moving on, brushing us aside to find somebody who is willing to pay what they want. So we have to educate them by charging what we are really worth in our own eyes. And if we're rejected, then we simply flow on, build up strength, get the river current flowing strongly, flow over all obstacles and around all obstacles, and really put it out there. Yeah. So it really is all about aligning pricing with your true purpose, not external optics. It's all about your internal pulse and your authenticity and knowing yourself. I've been speaking to a lot of people recently who, when you ask them that question, who are you? Do you know yourself? Are stunned and speechless and realize they don't know who they are at all. They've built a whole fantasy around who they are. Yeah. Another aspect of the work I do concerns the pineal gland, which is the gland between the eyebrows. It's called the third eye by many traditions. And this inner compass is really important. And Zinzino provides the omega acids to make your pineal gland really balanced and switched on. And so pricing becomes a mirror of self-respect. Yeah, that's what it is. If we can only realize that. You'll see my river video on my profile. Please take a look at it. It's all about how you can become a river and flow on no matter what. And certainly when you're setting up a business, there are setbacks, there are disappointments, but you reframe those because your river is flowing on. Nothing will stop it. And that's the human spirit. And that's the spirit of your dreams. Yeah, your real dreams, not the delusions, but the real dreams which you can access inside. So, yeah, the event this coming week is really exciting. We're going to take the bull by the horns, and I'm going to really put pressure on you to commit to charging what your soul's work is truly worth. Yeah. So please come and join me, and you'll see what I mean. I'm sorry I started late, but I finished late, so you got your half hour, and I'm very glad I could do that. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next weekend for Our Way, Our Wealth.